In this video, I want to talk about the idea of what it means to belong to a place as a photographer. And by far, one of the most commonly asked questions that I get, somebody will contact me and they will say, you know, I live in a small town, I'm uninspired, there's nothing around here to shoot, what do you recommend, what can I do? And I think actually, it's really important to have a sense of belonging to a place. Okay, I'm going to reference the artist series, and just because somebody always asks, hey Ted, what happened to the artist series? It's coming. I've got 6 videos that are shot in the can. I'm getting a translation done on one that's in Spanish. There's only one of me working here, so I promise those will come out soon. I have not given up. But I want to reference the artist series because what you're going to see when I put out the video on Keith Carter is this is a discussion that he actually brought up. And it was something that he had a great difficulty with, thinking, particularly in the 70s and 80s, is New York a place he should move? And it's interesting because he actually met the author Horton Foote, who mentioned that one of the most things important to being an artist is having a place. And of course, Keith is totally referenced with Texas, and he goes out of his way to make sure that you know that's his place. But I think that's important, especially Keith living in Beaumont. And that's one thing that I haven't figured out how to do here in Fort Worth yet, is how do I even pull my identity out of Fort Worth? I haven't shot much here. I don't really do a lot of landscapes and outdoor stuff in general, but maybe that is something that I should start to embrace. It's interesting this week, having gotten out of the studio to do some of these videos, that I realized that 2 years ago, I had a big identity and location switch when I moved from Dallas, where I lived pretty much my entire life, out here to Fort Worth. I actually really love Fort Worth, but most of my time is spent working and making videos for you guys and doing research, and I really don't get out and see stuff enough. So that's one of the things that I'm trying to do a little bit of this week. Dallas is a really big city. Fort Worth is a big small town, which I actually prefer. There's less traffic here, people are nicer, and it has no less than 5 nicknames. You've got Cowtown, Funky Town, F-Dub, The Fort, Panther City. Am I leaving anything out? Last year I had the opportunity to go to Mexico, which was pretty much a life-changing trip for me. And one of the things that impressed me the most about Mexican photographers and artists in general is that it's not just location and place, but it's this deep-rooted heritage and tradition that they're very proud of in that culture, and it permeates everything. And I think in that case, location is a huge part of that. There's a train? This is the loudest park I've ever been to. I think this is kind of why I prefer to use a studio sometimes. Another thing that's very similar to my experience in Mexico is when I do the mail videos where I open stuff that people have sent, and I'm really fortunate in that you guys, as my audience, send really nice things in terms of portfolios and books and postcards even. I mean, everything is always top notch, and I really go out of my way to try and share that with you. And I don't know if I express this enough on the show, but one of the things that I get most excited about is when I see a book come from Finland or a part of the world I've not been to, and that sense of place and what I'm seeing with the photographer who sent it in that connection. There's been several books that came in from Italy that I felt that way about. I mean, I guess place isn't absolutely essential in photography, but it's one of those things that I'm always just fascinated with when I see it, especially when it's done really well. Whoa, check this out. Okay, so this is Fort Worth Camera, and I actually have not been here yet. Their grand opening is this weekend. Might have to check this out. You know, it's kind of funny because there's this stigma that people think that everybody from Texas rides horses, wears cowboy hats, and smokes Marlboro cigarettes. which couldn't be further from the truth. Texas is a massive state, and it's got a big mix of people that live here, and a lot of metropolitan areas. I have spent my entire life in Texas. Quite frankly, I think it's pretty awesome. I love coming up here, but my God, it's crowded today. It's Good Friday, everybody's off. So this whole idea of place in photography, something that's just been on my mind, and I think of some of my favorite photographers, the people I look up to. Somebody like Saul Leiter, you associate with New York, Ansel Adams, Yosemite. Then it gets a little more interesting when you think of like W. Eugene Smith, and I think a lot of people associate him with Pittsburgh because of a project he did, though he lived in New York. Or you look at somebody like Henri Cartier-Bresson, who traveled the world his entire career, but I think most people associate his photographs with Europe, in particular France. And then you get into photography from the last 10 or 20 years, and I think place is even less of a deal, though it's still important. If you consider photographers like Abelard Morel or even Gregory Crutzen, place is important, but it's not a specific place. It's, especially in Crutzen's case, I think it's more of a fantasy place or something that you would see in a novel or something. It's made up. I've shot a lot today in a lot of different locations, and quite frankly, I'm probably going to scrap everything, because the problem is you're trying to do street photography or something. It's not 1953. It's not 1962. It's 2017. I need to dig a little deeper. So I guess in some ways this was kind of a failed attempt today, because I didn't get what I was looking for, but the key here is giving myself permission to fail, because the good news is it got me out of the studio. It gave me something different to consider that I've been thinking about for a while for these videos, and I got out and I saw my city, and now I've got some other ideas in mind. So one thing leads to another, and that's how it goes. I want to hear what you guys have to think on this. Is place in photography something you ever associate? Is it important? What do you look for in the photographers that you look up to? How do you consider this in your own work? I want to hear from you, so please leave me a comment. I'm going to get back and edit this so I can get it up today. And if you guys enjoyed this video, please remember to like it, share it, and subscribe to The Art of Photography for more videos. We're going to be revisiting this theme some more, and I'm still working on something that I must get to the end of. I can't figure out what that is yet. But anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, later.